Hi guys, it's Luke from your 50 Shades of Sales podcast. Before each episode, we just wanted to warn our listeners that there may be some swear words or choice language used in any one of our episodes. It's not intentional, we don't mean it to offend, but we wanted to forewarn each of our listeners. Please do enjoy. My name is Luke Robinson and I'm your host on this 50 Shades of Sales podcast series. For those of you who don't know, this is where we'll be giving you a no-holds-barred alternative view of the challenging yet rewarding life of a sales development representative. Now, in this episode, we're going to be discussing the age-old battle of salesperson versus the gatekeeper, and historically, what lengths both sides have been willing to go through to get one over each other. Actually, in all honesty, we're going to be providing some helpful hints and tips that will help you navigate your way past to your intended target. Now, joining me on today's podcast is one of our own inside sales representatives who currently sells into both the finance, private equity, and as well as SME space for a number of our clients. We have Phil Sabatino. How are we?
I'm very well, thank you, Luke. Thanks for having me on.
Perfect.
Been looking forward to this one for a wee while now, eh?
Fantastic. Great to have you on. Now,
thank you.
This is a subject, I suppose it's close to mine. It's close to, I imagine, a lot of SDRs' hearts who are just starting out as they battle daily with the much revered gatekeeper. But Phil, for yourself, what's your experience with gatekeepers and what's your opinion of them?
Well, I think it's probably worth starting off by saying my experience on them is very varied. I think when I first started here at Durham Lane, I had, obviously, you see them as kind of the monster on the other end of the line. They have quite a bad reputation. But in all honesty, I think my experience has been very varied. I kind of look at it as the good, the bad and the ugly, a bit of a mix between those three. I think it really depends on what kind of day you catch them on, I think. Have you found that?
No, and I think sometimes it's on the day that you catch the salesperson as well.
Yeah.
So when somebody's dismissive one day as a salesperson, you might laugh it off.
Yeah. And
then the next day it becomes the most personal thing that anybody's ever said. So yeah, I agree with for both sides really.
Definitely. And also what I have found is I suppose, it's quite contract dependent. So if you say you're calling up from one client we represent and they know the brand, they're familiar with it, they can be quite happy to let you pass through. Whereas if it's one of the more niche and unknown brands, I feel like they can get their back up. So I feel like there's a lot of variables with gatekeepers, but I do feel like there is a very, very mixed bag in there. A lot of good ones, a lot of people who are trying to catch you out, but yeah, quite a broad spectrum, I think.
And what's the typical job role that you would associate with a gatekeeper?
I think in everybody's head, it's probably receptionist.
Yeah.
And I suppose as my time in this company has gone on, you start to realise it's not just a receptionist. It could just be anyone who happens to answer the phone. Like in this job, we sometimes have to pretend to be the receptionist ourselves, don't we?
Yeah. And this is what I always tell people though. I said, imagine if somebody rang up this business, and our traditional gatekeeper was not available.
Yeah.
Think about the number of individuals who pick up the telephone and then become the actual gatekeeper.
Definitely, I've been a receptionist many days.
Yeah, and this is why I always tell people, actually understand how these people tick.
Yeah.
Find out actually. You know what? You might be able to help me. What's your role within the organisation? Because you might be able to point me in the right direction.
Well, this is something quite interesting because when you first start, I think you treat them as a hurdle.
Yeah.
And when you can start to treat them as a human being who has real insight and probably involved in a lot of the complexities and operations of the business.
Yeah.
I think when you have that realisation, you can really start to find value in them rather than kind of just treating them as a hurdle or a step to try and get past.
Yeah, and you it's good that you mentioned as well that when you first started out, they're this big ugly monster. I think more experienced salespeople, when they're giving advice to younger salespeople or people just starting out, I think we're the problem.
I think so.
I think we paint the picture of this horrible gatekeeper.
But then again, what do you think of the term gatekeeper?
Well,
do you feel like that has some negative connotations?
Probably yes, but there are two things that a gatekeeper can do, right? They can let you through, or they can stop you going through. So, in a sense, the term is right, but yeah, gatekeeper does seem a little. Yeah, it does seem a little defensive.
I wonder that. It definitely has some strings attached to it as a term.
Yeah. Well, what we've got good and we've got bad. You said it depends what time of day that you catch them, or what day that you catch them on, but. What do you find most frustrating about gatekeepers and why?
How long have we got on this podcast? I'm joking.
Well, no, I can talk until I'm blue in the face.
No, I think probably the biggest thing for me, and this has happened a couple of times, is where you call up a number and the gatekeeper answers, and they go, right, before I can put you through, can I have your first name, your surname, your phone number, your email, backup phone number, social security number. You start getting all these details off you, only to go, can't transfer calls.
Can't transfer calls.
That is one of my biggest gripes, I think.
And for me, the organisations that you go to and you say, listen, this is what I do. I'm just keen to investigate who's best to speak to in regards to X, Y, Z, right? And all of a sudden they go, sorry, we've got a no names policy here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need a name.
We need a name. Yeah. And I often used to call them out on how stupid their process was. Yeah. And would find myself quite passively aggressively going, so if I went onto LinkedIn and actually found out the right person and then came back through and give you a name, you're going to let me through? And they'll go, yes. So I used to say, well, I'll speak to you in 2 minutes. However, in hindsight, if I'm looking back at that example, I probably should have found the person.
Yeah.
Before you actually go through.
Yeah, I think it's something that we get annoyed about. But on the flip side, if some random person is just calling you up and saying, can you put me through to someone who deals with this, it does imply a lack of personality and understanding. So I do see it, I do get it, but yeah, it certainly is just frustrating.
Because if they're working on, I don't know, a switchboard, right, and there are 15 different departments around an organisation of 4,000 employees, and you just believe that first person is going to be able to give you the answer that you're looking for, there's some naivety there from our side, which again, it shows the importance of actually having that person, because I always say that as a bit of a hint or a tip, use the executive's first name. Yeah. So if it's an SME size organisation, if let's say I was to call up and I don't know, I got through to Tracy at the other end and I managed to quickly hear her name. Yeah. I'd say, hi Tracy, it's Luke. Is Richard available? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So using the executive's first name, actually, it makes it sound like you were supposed to be put through. You already sound a little bit familiar. It's
really interesting, actually, because obviously at the moment we've been doing quite a lot of work within the private equity space in America. Just this morning, actually, they're quite hardcore, the gatekeepers that we're speaking to in this space.
I'd imagine, yeah.
Yeah, quite straight to the point. What do you want? And every time one of them will answer the phone and say, hi, it's Chloe, or start with their name. It's so effective to use that name back to them. Hey Chloe, how you doing? Can you put me through to Simon?
It's disarming.
Yeah, it's very disarming, and I feel like it really does impact your success. It's quite tangible. Just doing that little trick like that can really help.
What's your view on the male to male gatekeeper or male to female or vice versa? Because listen, I always used to go, right, if you're male going to female, you've got a good chance. Yeah. 100%. If you're male going to male, it's surprising. Yeah. But you've got a good chance, right? If you are female going to male, then again you've got a good chance. But for some reason, female going to female,
really, no go.
Just through experience and talking to other people, I've heard it.
You've been able to practice this yourself.
Well, unless I put on a female voice, right?
Yes, the Luke.
Lucy, yeah. Yes, but exactly. No, it's So I don't know whether it's. I do think it's disarming though. I do think it's disarming.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's not something I've thought about the cross-sex approach with the gatekeepers. I've not thought about it, to be honest. Maybe I'll keep it in the back of my mind.
It would be interesting to actually run a test. Yeah. Just to go, right, okay, we know there's a female gatekeeper here. Let's see how many times a male can get past this female gatekeeper, and let's see how many times a female can get past this female gatekeeper.
Game for next season or something.
Game for next season, yeah. There's some science behind this, but
perfect.
I think for me, on the question of frustration, that is always the preconception that I've had about gatekeepers, because I used to run accountancy practices good couple of years ago, and I'm talking 120 calls per day for 5 days per week. Wow. And they probably are some of the most sold to organisations, I think, out there, because of all of the different technologies that exist. Certainly within that environment, in terms of the add-ons and things that plug in, and whether this system works with this particular system as well.
And so the breadth of personnel.
Yeah, so they're constantly getting it. And I remember just one day got honestly some of the rudest reply, right? And she didn't actually say anything outright, and it was like, hello? And I just thought, well, hang on. One, if I'm a customer,
yeah,
right, and
are you going to want to buy from them?
And I want to run all of my accounts through your organisation, right? You've instantly lost me just at hello.
Yeah.
Right? How can I help you? Right? It was just a real snotty attitude. And then the moment that I got into what it is that I was supposed to be doing, instantly shut down.
Yeah.
Right? And I was pretty sick. She was clearly pretty sick. And I actually just reasoned with her. I said, you know what? Can you tell me how many telephone calls like this one have you received today? And she was like, you're probably number 30, number 40.
Is that your explanation there?
Well, and basically all I'd said was, right, okay, well, what's going to help me stand out amongst all of the other sales calls that come through? Mm-hmm. And she went, well, you're already doing it. Yeah. Now, she still didn't put me through, but it made me realize. It made me realize from their end the hammering that people get. Because if you think of yourself as a gatekeeper, right? Everyone's had a PPI call. You've had a call about an accident that you've never had, right? Do they ever catch you at a good time? Never, right? Are you ever polite to them when they catch you on your mobile at that wrong time?
Absolutely not.
Just think about, if we just think about how dismissive we are as individuals if somebody catches us at the wrong time. You might be ringing somebody who, rather like, our gatekeeper who works here, right? She might have travel to book for 5 or 6 people, right? She's got the doorbell ringing. She's got people asking because there's guests in for teas, drinks, coffees, anything like that. Then all of a sudden, right, salesperson thinks they're the only person to call that day. Hi. Yeah. And you know what? I'm not surprised people are rude to us.
I don't think so. I was going to say, something I have noticed is how, it's almost exponential. So the longer you keep that gatekeeper on the phone and she starts to understand you're actually human too, they will become more responsive. And I feel like that leads from the fact they probably have the preconception when they're picking up that phone, God, is this going to be another one of those time-wasting calls? So yeah, I think just showing a touch of humanity, like you were saying, is so important. Yeah. So important.
And just be friendly. I always tell people to be friendly, but don't overdo it.
No.
Because again, I think you can see right through that.
Yes.
It's almost fake.
Almost sucking up.
It's fake confidence. It comes through as arrogance. And I think sometimes you can sound quite condescending.
A lot of the time at the moment when I'm obviously calling up the kind of finance and PE space, I'm starting with, hello, good morning, it's Phil calling from the London office. And they go, okay. And it's just right, okay, that's fallen on deaf ears. And it's just like, you almost want to come down to their level. And it's, I suppose, trying to, do I try and keep up this facade of politeness and interest, or do I just get straight to the point down with them? And I think it's trying to get yourself on the same level when you're in that situation. Yeah, and understanding how they take. Now, we've talked about, as we probably would have, we've jumped straight into the negative and frustrating experiences, but how many good experiences have you had with gatekeepers, and what's been the best yet? I think it's rare that you have an experience with a gatekeeper and go, God, that was good, but they definitely do exist. Yeah. And I think in all honesty, I think the majority of them instances, for me, stand out in the SME space rather than the big multinational corporation space, because they're just getting hounded all day long. So I think the good experiences really do reside, as I say, in the smaller business space. For example, recently me and Alfie went down to Birmingham for the NEC Packaging Expo. Woo! Yeah, so exciting, right?
How was that, by the way?
Yeah, it was good. I never knew there was such a kind of world of interest in the packaging sphere. Did you?
Yes, because it's funny because years and years ago I'd worked an outsourced project for a packaging company, right? Based in the northeast.
It's a whole little world, isn't it?
It really is. But they weren't manufacturing the packaging themselves. Right. They were offering a packaging service.
Sure.
But again, I learned the ins and outs of the packaging world.
Oh, definitely.
And it's amazing the money that's in it, though.
Oh, it's crazy. We were talking to, I won't mention specific brands, but industry leaders in the packaging side of stuff. So yeah, it was good for the LinkedIn numbers as well. Yeah. But yeah, where was I? So obviously it was full of ambitious and innovative businesses in the packaging sphere. Obviously I went and collected business cards and met different leaders and managers and things like this. When I got back to Durham Lane, obviously I was going through the business cards and thought one of them would be good to reach out to. So it was forward thinking. I thought it'd be well suited for one of my contracts, and in that we could help them. And there was a bit of a brief conversation there as well. And I phoned them up, and the lady who I was looking for, sadly, she'd given me the wrong email address. So when I phoned up this a gatekeeper for this packaging company, he had no need to help me. He probably gets thousands of these calls a day, but I just remember, and it's one of the few that sticks to mind. He called me back. He chased the email for me. A couple of hours later, I called him back for another reference, and I just remember thinking at the time he was just going completely above and beyond.
Yeah.
But as I say, he had no need to do that, but it just reminded me that people like these horrid gatekeepers we keep in our mind can be so valuable, and almost reminded me they're human as well. It gives you that gentle reminder. But yeah, it's just really nice. And obviously I'm not a customer, but from a business perspective, that he's painted that business in such a good light. Because he went up over and beyond. He never had to do any of that for me. But yeah, I commended him on that, and yeah, it was just lovely to see. Like it's not something you get often.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a really nice experience and fresh in my memory as well.
But I probably think that he's now got a good view of you as well, right? So
I'd like to think so.
We always say treat these people with genuine respect, because often they are treated with the utmost respect within their organisation, because they save said senior person that we're trying to actually interrupt a lot of time within the day and a lot of saved hot air.
Yeah.
So, we always say treat them with genuine respect, but you're right, that human element that it brings.
Definitely.
Is there an argument to say that this person helped you more because you had a much better reason to be getting in touch with this individual? Listen, I met them at X event, right? We discussed this.
Well,
we had swapped business cards, but unfortunately I've taken down the wrong email address. I'd love to be able to speak with X person about XYZ. Are you able to help me?
That's a really good point. Like, there was so much compelling reason there for him to help me. I wonder if I was going in cold and calling him off our 0191 dial code, whether he would have been so receptive and so helpful. You'd like to say yes, but no, it's a good point. But I do feel like that story I was able to tell, the narrative, the relationship I had with one of his commercial directors, definitely would have kind of, I suppose he would have known that it would have come back to him if he didn't help me how he should have.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
So actually, it's probably a good cue into the next question. So where would you say salespeople are actually making the most mistakes with gatekeepers?
Again, sadly we don't have enough time on today's podcast, but I think probably the main thing for me, and this is something I've been chatting to a few of the guys around the office with at the moment, because it was what I did when I first joined the company, and looking back, but it was giving them too much detail, not enough brevity with gatekeepers. I think just when you're new and not so confident, you pick up that phone and someone answers and you feel like you've got to spill out everything and pitch to them and, start telling them all this random info. And I think that to them is almost a key, that you don't feel like you've got the right to be put through. So I think just not enough brevity, too much detail disclosed.
We tell people not to sell to the gatekeeper.
Yeah,
now,
that's it.
I'm not saying that you can't describe what it is that you do. You can't just refuse and say, no, that you're the right person I need to speak to. Go get me the right person, right? But because these people, as you mentioned earlier, they are involved in a lot more than you probably think within an organisation. And if you can explain very briefly what it is that you do, you can get some real valuable pieces of information from that individual.
Yeah.
Now, when I said don't sell to the gatekeeper, you don't need to be, laying it on thick. You don't need to be doing the full question-based and solution-focused selling on them. You're not going to be qualifying that lead and opportunity, never speaking to the person that you needed to. But we are going to have to get into a little bit of this is what we do and this is how you might be able to help me, because that person does hold a lot more knowledge.
Definitely.
And I think a lot of mistakes that salespeople make is they don't keep their cool.
Yeah, I would completely agree. When that question comes, who are you looking to speak with? Blah, blah, blah. And if you're not put through at that point, the next questions come in. Have you spoken before? Or what is it you're speaking about? And when you start waffling at that stage, I imagine, I've never been a gatekeeper myself, but I imagine that's when the red flag signals.
I wonder if they've got some sort of process flow map.
Yeah.
Right. So where
Waffle,
it goes.
tick.
Yeah. Waffle tick. Have they said no to this answer? Right. What is my next question? And if it's a yes, right. Okay. Maybe I'll put them through. But so the one as well. Will they know what the call's regarding?
Oh,
Now,
that's a tricky one.
So this is, I always used to just say this, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not a lie, and I don't think it's that cheeky. But I always used to say, I hope so. Because no doubt you've probably sent some material of some sort, or tried to contact this individual before that day.
Sort of clutching at straws if they ever ask.
Yes.
Yeah, I sent him this back in 2001.
But rarely will they ever ask. So if I actually, will they know what the call's regarding? I hope so.
If it's confident enough, you'd like to think that's your key through, right?
Yeah.
Or another one that I learned off Will is, we've not got anything in the diary today, no.
Do you know what? If there's any gatekeepers listening to this, we're just arming them.
Ah, crap, yeah.
We're just giving them information to go, well, actually, no, that's...
None of this has been true, really. It's all a lie.
And you know, is this a cold call?
Yes.
Yeah, well, this is what I say, so be honest. The moment that you start stuttering and say that...
but no, it's not cold, it's a bit warm, but a little bit lukewarm.
And you know, I'm looked in the LinkedIn, and it's kind of just a discovery call right now.
Yeah.
A discovery call is a sales call.
They're thinking, crikey, how am I going to get this person off the phone?
So one of the best experiences, and I guarantee this will never ever happen again, ever, is I just had one of those days, right? Was a little bit... I'm so pissed off, right? I'm so sick of the battle between myself and the gatekeeper, and they actually said, "Is this a cold call?" And I went, "No."
You had this thought whilst you were on this.
I've had this happen. And is this a cold call? And I went, "No, I'm perfectly warm." Right, you got your head in your hands for people who can't see. You know what?
My head is firmly in my hands.
Unbelievable.
Really?
She started to giggle and thought it was the funniest thing that somebody has ever said. She was like, I can't believe you've managed to say that. And I said, well, you know what? Sometimes you get to a point throughout the day where you just think, I'm going to try whatever. Right?
So what happened? Did she then revert back, or was that enough for her?
So, no, she came back, so it was enough for her to be friendly. And what's the call regarding? And then I told her, and then bang, I got put through.
Nice.
So it's...
Textbook.
It was... Well, it's not textbook. I wouldn't tell anybody to ever do that. But I think some people, we've got very different accents. Right?
We do.
Depending on where you go into the country as well, I think we talk about the sex versus sex. I wonder whether sometimes a northern versus a southern, and where it's going, or whether there's a difference in terms of tone and voice that people instantly trust.
Well, I think so.
Because there is a massive reason as to why customer services and customer complaints department are in the northeast mainly.
Yeah.
Because they're really friendly, they're really chatty, and it's pretty hard to get mad at somebody who is cheery and very...
A people person.
You know, they're a people person, and they're able to chat and things like
sure.
that. I had a taxi driver down in Cambridge the other day telling me this very same thing. And he said that the North is so friendly.
Yeah?
He said, when I called up to complain the other day, I had a full discussion and it was absolutely lovely. And I don't know whether there's any differences to that either.
I think there are. I definitely think that sector-specific accents are a thing, and I do almost feel like it's something no one quite wants to admit or acknowledge. But I've heard murmurs here that, you know, the more financy contracts, the people who are slightly more southern or London spoken are kind of gravitated towards that a bit more. Yeah. Is this finance? Yeah. You know,
the city boys.
I think it's, you know, down to human nature. I think it would be naive to assume not.
Yeah. And what are your views on calling before or after hours? Do you ever do much of that?
One of the best opportunities for one of the contracts who's sadly no longer with Durham Lane, but one of the best opportunities I got was a complete just like good timing or bad/good timing, depending on how you want to look at it. It was a big chief data officer for one of the big 5 utility firms in the UK, and I probably tried to call him 10, 11, 12 times throughout the course of a few weeks, and it was about 5:27 p.m. here, so 3 minutes before shut. And I thought, you know, I'll just give him one final blast on his mobile, and he answered, and I was taken back. He goes, hello, and I was like, oh my God, he's actually answered. And he goes, you've caught me at potentially the worst time. I've got my hands in a bowl of washing up soap, washing my dishes. What can I do for you? I can't hang up at this point. And I thought, amazing.
Yeah.
But it just shows you, and again, after that, I was never able to get back through to him again. Luckily, we did enough on that call. But it just shows you the essence of good time, well, good/bad timing, depending on what party you are.
Because your traditional gatekeeper is probably starting 5 to 9.
Yeah.
5 to 9, yeah.
Definitely.
And then at 5 o'clock, gone.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I'm not having to go at any of the gatekeepers here either, but they tend to take their full lunch.
Yes, definitely. And then maybe a minute more.
Maybe a minute more here and there, but I always just tell people, think of this business as an example. If you call this business at 8 o'clock in the morning, our gatekeeper, inverted commas, has not started.
No.
And at 8:45, our gatekeeper still has not started. Our gatekeeper is eating her breakfast.
When does ours clock on?
About 10 past 9.
At 10 past 9, right. Well, that's the thing. You, when you're calling up these businesses, they're a figment of your imagination, aren't they? You haven't been there, you don't know what... You forget they're a genuine, real office like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Just think of it, how a normal office functions. And to sort of distribute your calls and your activity around that.
Yeah. Just between 8 and 8:30, if you can come in an hour early, why don't you try 10 calls? Right? Because if you rang this business, our marketing director, Sean, is sat there and he's the only one in the business.
Yeah.
He becomes your gatekeeper and he has the power to say yes to a lot of things, but he also has access to a lot of information that may be able to help you on your next call and arm you with more information to get past said gatekeeper. You could even call later on in the day and say, yeah, I spoke to your director of marketing, Sean, this morning at around 8:10. He said the best time to call back and get in touch with Leo Richard was X.
Yeah.
Now, if you then called at 5:30 when everybody leaves the door, right, myself included, if you get out of this business, then you try and call somebody past 5:30, you will probably get at around 10 to 6 o'clock, the managing partners.
Yeah,
now,
definitely.
Good luck.
Tidying everything up.
but good luck when you get through. So call in before or after hours. Don't sell to the gatekeeper. Be as honest as you possibly can, right? Don't pull the wool over their eyes, because that is why they probably mistrust salespeople anyway.
Absolutely.
You know, it would be really good to actually do one of these with a gatekeeper and find out what are the worst lies that they've ever been told in order to be put through.
Maybe we should do that.
Yeah, and we've got using the executive's first name. Yeah, there's a level of familiarity. It sounds like you're supposed to be put through. Be friendly.
Be a human.
Be a human. Speak with confidence.
Yeah.
Keep your cool. Right now, this for me should be the last piece of advice. If you catch a gatekeeper who is rude, right, you've probably caught them at the wrong time, and they've probably just gotten off the phone to another sales call. Now, you could probably give this gatekeeper a call 5 minutes later if you've just gone through that. Hi, is this person available? This is what we do. No, bye. Right.
Yeah.
5 minutes later. Hi, is this person available? I guarantee that gatekeeper will not remember you.
No. Well, you can build up a picture in your head. Go, they're going to remember me. They're going to think I'm pestering them. But yeah.
Yeah. But the moment that you lose your cool, they will put you on a blacklist and you will never, ever, ever get through. I remember
really good point.
Losing my cool one time with a particular gatekeeper, and I decided that I was going to, you know, the brave man that I am, give them a call back the next day. and she went, and she recognised my voice. She went, "How dare you call back?"
Whoa!
Because we'd had a real go-to the day before. And that was a big lesson for me. So definitely keep your cool. Treat them with genuine respect. Yes, they can be intimidating, but ultimately what you need to find out is how they take and what their role is within the organisation, because it leads to so much more information. Any more advice that you give anybody on gatekeepers?
I think you've covered pretty much everything we talked about there. I'd stress the brevity point again. Just keep it nice and concise. Don't waffle. I know it feels like sometimes you need to justify the reason you've called this person up, but yeah, just keep it nice and conversational. And I think just remember, what are you going to do on that call to differentiate yourself besides the other 1,000 people who've tried to get their way through before you?
Perfect way to finish. Okay, thanks for your attendance here, Phil.
Thank you very much, Luke. I've loved it.
Next time you tune in, guys, as well, we're going to be looking at, is LinkedIn actually worth using? So we'll speak to you in 2 weeks' time. Take care now. Bye-bye.